Okay, and we're live. Good afternoon. This is the Board of County Commissioners meeting. It is Tuesday, August 16th, 2022. It is 2:01 p.m. I am calling this meeting to order. We'll start off with a Pledge of Allegiance to be led by Commissioner Edwards.
Please join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, sir. There we go. Thank you, sir. Next, Vice Chair Menser, would you like to do a land acknowledgement, sir?
Yes, ma'am. We would also like to start today with the land acknowledgement. We would like to acknowledge and thank the Indigenous Salish peoples whose elders and ancestors have lived on and cared for the land and waterways of this county since time immemorial and who still inhabit the area today. Specifically, the Squaxin Island, Nisqually, and Chehalis people, our sovereign tribal partners. Truth and acknowledgement are critical to building mutual respect and connection across all barriers of heritage and difference. The purpose of this acknowledgement is to disrupt ongoing erasure of injustices done and to remember history as a stepping stone towards healing.
Thank you. With that, I'm ready for an approval of the Tuesday, August 16th agenda. Is there a motion?
I move to approve the proposed agenda for Tuesday, August 16th, 2022.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? I'll call for the vote. Thank you, sir.
Commissioner Edwards?
Aye.
Commissioner Menser?
Aye.
Commissioner Mejia?
Aye. Motion passes. Next is the board meeting minutes from August 2nd, 2022. Is there a motion?
Madam Chair, I move to approve board meeting minutes from August 2nd, 2022.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? I'll call for the vote.
Commissioner Edwards?
Aye.
Commissioner Menser?
Aye.
Commissioner Mejia?
Aye. Motion passes. With that, we have one presentation today, and it's the introduction of Emergency Management Manager. And Kurt Harding is here, as well as Peter Tassoni.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Kurt Hardin, Director of Emergency Services. I'm here to introduce Peter Tassoni as the new Emergency Management Manager. Sandy Ecker, the previous Emergency Management Manager, retired on June 30th, and she had, I can't even count how many years, but she had quite a few years in emergency management. But Peter is joining us, and he has over 10 years of emergency management experience at the state and local jurisdictional level. He's led preparedness, response, recovery, and mitigation projects, and many of the county's emergency management partners are familiar with him, worked with him, excited to be working with Peter again. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Peter and let him talk a little bit about his background.
Good afternoon, Peter Tassoni. So I was raised in Thurston County. I'm raising my family in Thurston County, and I really feel privileged and honored to be part of the team serving Thurston County. But as you know, emergency management, we prepare and anticipate for disasters and emergency events. We help the county and citizens and residents prepare for that. And then when things actually do happen, we coordinate and try to, so that recoveries are faster, better, and we all get along and, survive. So that's Peter in a nutshell and what I do. I'm excited to be on the team.
Thank you,
Comments,
Peter.
Concerns, compliments?
Commissioner Edwards?
Welcome aboard.
Commissioner Menser?
See you, Peter. Welcome aboard.
Yes, thank you, Peter. Welcome aboard. We're happy to have you in the Thurston County family.
And you have to have the right sport coat.
Great. With that concludes our presentation. We'll move on with the opportunity for the public to address the board. The Board of Thurston County Commissioners welcomes comments from the public. However, there are some guidelines governing comments to ensure they are appropriate and do not take advantage of the fact that most meetings are televised. The general speaking guidelines are as follows. Please introduce yourself, including the address you reside in the county. Please address the board, not the audience or staff. Please silence your cell phones for those members in the boardroom. Speakers are limited to a total of 4 minutes to address the board. Meeting attendees cannot donate their speaking time to another person. No comments that are lewd and offensive, inflammatory, hateful, defamatory, or discriminatory in nature. Please be respectful. No outburst of any kind. No comments that are commercial in nature, such as promotion of a for-profit business. All materials provided to the county may be considered public records, subject to public release upon request pursuant to the Public Records Act, Chapter 4256 of the RCW. No remarks about pending land use permits or similar matters that could eventually come before the board on appeal, and no electioneering. Thank you so much for your cooperation. With that, I will start with the members here in the boardroom, those who have signed up, and then if you have not signed up, then I'll see if anyone else would like to go. And then we will move to the members on Zoom, where the county manager will assist me in calling those members up. The first person I have on our sign-up sorry, I was hearing an echo there. The first person on the sign-up sheet is John Wilson.
Hi there.
Hi. Mr. Wilson, if you'll come up here, and you have 4 minutes, sir.
Can everybody hear me okay?
If you'll pull the microphone a little bit, there we go.
My name
Perfect.
is John Wilson. I live in Rainier, Washington at 14435 Vale Cutoff Road. I own 2 pieces of property. The other one's 17019 Vale Loop Road. And that again is in Rainier. The 2 pieces of property are right next to each other. I bought these pieces of property for agricultural and a house. 2 years ago, I was given a citation or a stop work order on my gate. And after the period of time we went through it, an ecologist, Rebecca Rothwell, shows up. She shows up in her personal car. She did not give any ID. I questioned her. The only thing she said was, it's mandated to put a mask on my property. You will put a mask on for this meeting. And I said, well, I've been subjected to black mold poisoning, and I promise to keep my distance. As long as you got your mask on, you're going to be safe, but it's my body. I have the choice of not. If you don't like that, you can leave. We started off bad. Maybe that was the wrong way, but I'm a property owner. So the frustration began there. After that, she had looked at the work that we did, and this wasn't work. This property has been agricultural/wetland since 1944. I don't know if anybody's familiar with the Vale Operations Warehouser and all that. Warehouser sold out, I believe, to the Anderson farm back in 1944, and they used it for dairy. Now, it does have storm water that comes in and out of there from the river close by. I'll skip to the end because I know I don't have a whole bunch of time. So I went through their appeal process and was denied appeal because the next thing she stated was I didn't appeal to the pollution board. She claims, Rebecca Rothwell, and the county planning, that I'm polluting the property via cows. There's my question. So when I said, well, we did the appeal process, she said, well, you violated the appeal process, so you're not subject to an appeal. I said, well, who made that decision? Did you make that decision on your own? She didn't answer. So I think as a property owner and taxpayer, my rights have been violated to due process. Now I'm subject to, they give me a 60-day waiting to get a wetland mitigation. My question is, why didn't they have this mitigated if it's wetlands in the beginning? So when I purchase a property, I could make a decision whether or not I want to purchase this for, if I'm going to put livestock on it, that's why I bought it for, and I can't do that, I would have moved on. So there's nothing on the property that has any markers, 4x4s, fences, anything, and anywhere's enclosing or any of that process that stated there's restrictions on the property. So I'm going to move on to another subject. I'm also founder of Vale Guardians Watch Group out of Vale and Rainier. And our group is not vigilantes. We are trying to help your office, and we're all for having 5. We had 2 Thurston County sheriffs meet at our meeting that was 2 Saturdays ago. And they explained frustration with law enforcement and only having a minimal of you folks up here. Very important people. I had no idea. So I thank you all for what you do, and we need 2 more of you. So on that, just understand, we're also working on an emergency broadcast system for Rainier area as well. So just kind of familiar with us. You can find us on Facebook under Vale Guardians and Neighborhood Watch on Facebook. Thank you, folks. I'm sorry, I'm really hard. Permit number. I'm sorry. Permit number? So you guys should have some. Okay, well, there you go. Okay, thank you.
Mr. Wilson, do you mind leaving your contact information with Jamie Caldwell,
You betcha.
a phone number and an email,
You betcha, I can do that.
please? Thank you. Okay. Next, I have Vivian Eason. You have 4 minutes.
Okay, thank you. Vivian Eason, I live in Rochester, Washington. Do I give my address too? It's 10104 Albany Place Southwest, Rochester, Washington. And I am here to speak today to support Sarah Fox on her issue with the Supreme Living house that is proposed to go in on 140th. I know she's been in touch with the County Commissioner's Office quite a bit. And I know that you guys did you reviewed some information on the McNeil Island Special Commitment Center today in the agenda setting. And so that's what kind of brought me here today. Sarah couldn't be here, she's working. The Supreme Living house is proposed for 140th, and it's going to house sex offenders released from McNeil Island. As you know, McNeil Island is run by DSHS for sex offenders that have been committed for the special commitment. And the neighbors out there have also voiced concerns. I think they found out on their own that it was going in because they're not going through the process, my understanding, of a special use permit. They're trying to go in as a congregate care facility. So I know they're trying to work, she's trying to find all these ways to ensure that they're meeting all the due process with housing that many sex offenders in a house with a 3-bedroom septic. So I know she's been trying to go that route also. In addition to that, as you know, our Sheriff's Department is the lowest staffed in the state of Washington. And then when I was researching that, and I heard this recently on the news, is state of Washington is also the lowest staffed in the United States. So Thurston County is the lowest of the lowest when it comes to staffing for law enforcement. Living in unincorporated Thurston County, the response time has become pretty great because of the lack of sheriff's deputies. And unfortunately, in addition to being lowly staffed, we have a lot of vacancies. People are leaving. Even Yelm police officers are paid more than our deputies now, so they leave for higher pay or for other opportunities. And I was here when Knut from the Sheriff's Office, Deputy Sheriff's Association, presented a letter asking for support from the county commissioners on getting the jail back up to speed so they can house inmates fully. So when they arrest somebody, they can actually have a place to take them. We also need to ensure that, as he briefed, that our courts and our prosecutor's office are following up on those cases. We do have a mental health court and a drug court, and so we should have resources out there to help people find ways to get off the streets and for the public safety part. I did some checking. Currently we have 847 registered sex offenders in Thurston County, with 57 of those unaccounted for, which is quite alarming. That is pretty staff intensive for the Sheriff's Department. I remember when that came into effect, it was one of those unfunded mandates. I've worked in the criminal justice system. I started in 1982 and worked in the criminal justice system, 1982, until 06 when I went to emergency management. So I'm well aware of what reoffenders are, and that sex offenders are high to reoffend. And so that's some of the concerns with those living out in our community in unincorporated Thurston County in a rural setting where there's kids, there's families. Her concern was, like, her husband is a firefighter. He's gone 24 hours at a time. There's not going to be, if you call a deputy sheriff right now, your chances of getting somebody in person is pretty slow. And that's not their fault. It's because there's just not enough staff right now. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, I have Gregory Moe.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. I'm Gregory Moe. I live out near Lure Reach in northeast Thurston County. It's been a while since I gave you a real estate update, so I grabbed some numbers off the multiple listing service just before I came here. Currently, in the past, you might recall, we had inventory that was less than 100 on a daily basis in Thurston County. I'm talking January, February, March. We now currently have on the market 640 active listings. That's single-family residents. Another 35 are condominiums and manufactured homes. There are 492 homes currently under contract or pending sale. Here's some telling numbers. In the past 7 days, there have been 122 new listings, single-family residences in Thurston County, and 179 pending sales. So the 179 homes have gone off the market because they're under contract, but we only have 122 to replace them, so it's a net loss. Let's see, and also we've had 122 price reductions in the past 7 days. A lot of people are finding out that we're getting back to a normal market in the real estate world, where houses are on the market a little bit longer, and they originally were trying to maybe get that extra dollar from the sale of their house, but they're realizing that the market isn't really supporting those premium prices. So there is some modification of those prices to the tune of 122 in the past 7 days price reductions. We used to have, back in the old days, in the early, just after turn of 2020, 2022, we had less than a month of inventory in the county. A stable market's considered between 4 and 6 months of inventory. So it would take that much time. If no new listings came onto the market, it would take that much time to sell what is currently on the market, 4 to 6. Right now, we're at about 1.5 months per market. So we still have a robust market. Interest rates are tempering buyer activity a little bit, as is evidenced by the price reductions. But just a little snapshot for you. If you have any questions, you know how to reach me. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else in the boardroom that would like to provide public testimony today? Nope. Okay, so we'll move on to those on Zoom.
Screen. Good afternoon. I'm going to be calling your name based on the order that I see on my Zoom screen. First, I have Ms. Ursula Euler. Please go mute yourself, turn your camera on. You have 4 minutes. Ms. Ursula Euler. Okay, let's move on to the next one. Ms. Paula Lowe. Please go ahead, ma'am. You have 4 minutes.
Hi, my name is Paula Redberg Lowe. I live on Rumack Street on Paterson Lake, and I wanted to say to the commissioners, thank you for moving forward our Paterson Lake Management District today. I look forward to your approval to move it to the vote so we can move forward with this process. So that's all I had to say today. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next, I have Mrs. Esther Cronenberg, and I believe you're sharing somebody else in your testimony, so we'll give you the floor for 2. Go ahead.
Yeah, hi. Hi, you can hear me? I'm going to let Jerry Durker speak first.
Okay, thank you.
Hi, my name is Jerry Durker. I live at 2826 Cooper Point Road, Northwest, Olympia, Washington, 98502. I want to thank the county commissioners for having the meeting last week with DNR about the logging operation out at Summit Lake on a landslide-prone area that occurred when the Oso landslide occurred here a few years ago. I live right near one that a logging operation like that on a landslide-prone area that the city of Olympia noted to the Department of Natural Resources that it was a landslide-prone area in the Green Cove Creek Basin area that is jointly adjudicated, it has joint jurisdiction of the both the county and the city on part of the comprehensive plan of both the city and city of Olympia and the county. And so, and this actually took and just put a big hole in the middle of that plan because they just decided to evade all that plan and stuff. They apparently have a conflict between a couple of the statutes on that while it says it encourages the DNR for such logging operations to consider all the comprehensive plans and things like that. Apparently, they don't really do that and stuff because they've got another portion that says they don't have to. And so they claim they don't have to, and they go ahead and do this even in the middle of an environmentally sensitive area and critical areas, despite the fact that their own statutes require them not to have those kinds of things in critical areas and stuff. Can't be an exemption from SEPA in a critical area under the SEPA rules. So there's some inconsistencies of the laws, and I would hope that the county and the city of Olympia would join together with with the counties association and the cities association to ask the state legislature to fix those problems so that the Growth Management Act doesn't just become a piece of paper that doesn't mean anything, and SEPA is just a bunch of laws in the books that don't mean anything because as long as they want to log, they will log right through anything at all. So I would hope that you would look into that matter too. This area also, I should note that because this landslide prone area here on Cooper Point Road Northwest is right near the county line here and stuff, it has a good chance of causing that whole hillside to collapse and possibly pull the edge of the hillside that's protecting us from that 800,000 cubic yards of hazardous waste and other stuff in the old Sunberg sand and gravel mine site that's across the street and next door to this site. It shares the edge of that hillside right at the northwest corner of that site.
30 seconds, sir. 30 seconds.
And all of that will be rushing down into the Green Cove Creek and Butler Creek here at my house and stuff. And it will take and impact county resources on Cooper Point Road near 28th Avenue Northwest. And so I would urge you to look into that matter and to make sure that these kinds of things don't happen again. Thank you.
Thank you. Mrs. Cronenberg?
Yeah, hi, thank you. Hi, I'm Esther Cronenberg. I also live off of Cooper Point Road. I just wanted to second everything Mr. Durker said and also remind the county that they have a $8 million plan to replace a culvert further down Green Cove Creek that I think will be directly threatened by the increased runoff and sedimentation that's now going to be coming off this bare hill. So I encourage you also to look at any ordinances or that you can pass that could prevent this from happening again, and to, work with others or the jurisdictions to lobby the legislature to change the law. I also wanted to talk to you about Black Lake. We know that, like here, the water quality is going to be an ongoing issue for, and increasingly serious issue for the county as development continues and effects of climate change become worse. And in that regard, the lot study that just said that it's the reclaimed water is okay. I question their results because the tests that they were using, the sensitivity of the tests they were using are questionable as to how much chemicals are actually in the water already. And so with the same idea with Black Lake, we know that the county from 2019 to 2020 went from using less than 1,500 pounds of herbicides and chemicals to more than almost 3,500 pounds. And that before 2017, it was reliably under 500 pounds of toxic chemicals that were being put into the surface water that we know is connected to the groundwater. So I think the county needs to really consider how to minimize herbicide use. The IPM plan that you have now was submitted to the Beyond Pesticides, a national group that is concerned with the use of chemicals in the environment. And they said it was pretty good, except that there were huge loopholes that could be used if staff wanted to use a chemical, that there was a considerable leverage by the staff. And we can see that by the huge increase in chemicals over the last 5 years. So I would encourage the commissioners to look into alternative methods. I've sent several of those methods, barriers, mechanical means, and to also consider consolidating the lake management districts and the work that they do so they could share resources and share equipment and come to some kind of overall unified strategy for how to manage and reduce the managed lakes and reduce the amount of chemicals that are used in the environment. And we can see what happened in Pierce County when water quality was only addressed through chemicals and ended up in a disastrous dead lake. And we'd hate to see that happen here. And also to remind you that the enforcement and regulation by the ecology and EPA has also been severely questioned and found lacking in recent court cases.
30 seconds, ma'am.
Okay. So, and just in terms of the Black Lake District case, I just want you to know that we still believe it should be dissolved. It should be a lake management district, and we're still waiting for public records requests now that we made in March. But that said, my main point is to please protect the groundwater and to seriously look into the use of toxics in the environment so that we can protect that groundwater for future generations. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, I have Mr. Jesse Simmons. You have 4 minutes, sir.
I have no comment today.
Thank you. Next, I have Mr. Tony Wilson. You have 4 minutes, sir.
I have no comments today. Thank you.
Thank you. I have a phone number with the last 4 digits of 6618. Would you like to provide testimony this afternoon? No, let me go back to Ms. Ursula Euler. You would like to provide testimony this afternoon, ma'am?
Yes, I do. Thank you. Can everyone hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you, ma'am.
Thank you. Yes, thank you for having me. My name is Ursula Euler. I reside as 10448 Kristen Court Southwest in the county. And I'm here today to say I hope you know that WashDOT's Aviation Division and its Commercial Aviation Expansion Work Group have suggested 2 potential mega airport sites in Thurston County, among some others. More information can be found on the website bestlifethurston.com and the links local issues, a mega airport in Thurston County, a real possibility. New scientific research around airports, including SeaTac, is pointing to new definitions of what and where airport communities are and how they are impacted. They are not only directly by an airport, but under and 10 miles left and right, front and back of landing and takeoff paths. Those areas, land, vegetation, animals, and people are directly, consistently, and permanently exposed to pollution from jet fuel. The research points to opportunities for permitting and land use rules that could protect the health and wealth of a potential airport community in Thurston County better than ever before. They are completely under the jurisdiction of local governments, and not the FAA. This is according to the FAA itself and by law. WSDOT does not represent people. It has so far heavily focused on taglines that present aviation expansion in a positive light. Therefore, I urge you to begin, or urge staff to begin to become familiar with the real impacts of commercial aviation and to begin to gather objective and data-driven assessments of the aviation impacts outside and independently of WSDOT work. This is not, I'm making this request not merely to express opposition or to ask you to express opposition, but to begin to formulate requirements and consequences. This is time sensitive and it has to happen in advance before certain permits are filed and before the comprehensive plan update process in all likelihood. I myself have attended all WSDOT commercial aviation expansion meetings and am very well informed from that and additional research. So are one or two other people in this community. I and we are available for further conversations and information exchanges. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
And that will conclude public testimony.
County Manager, do you want to give an update for the last public comment, or would you like me to?
On the, Ms. Euler, I don't know if you're aware, the Board of County Commissioners submitted a letter to Washington State Department of Transportation highlighting the concern and opposition to citing any type of regional airport in Thurston County. If we have not received that letter, we can certainly share that.
No, I'm sorry, but they're not into, it's not about opposition or not opposition. It does nothing. I've been trying to say that for the longest time.
Yeah, ma'am, I'm just trying to state what the board has taken an action on that. If you have not received a copy of that letter, we'll be more than happy to give you a copy.
When you say that, it's so misleading, though. It's not, it does nothing.
Yeah,
These letters do nothing.
Yeah, I appreciate the feedback, madam. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. With that, we'll move on to County Manager's update.
I don't have any specific updates for you this afternoon, Madam Chair.
Okay. Moving on to consent items, A through L. Is there a motion?
Yes, I make a motion to approve consent items 3A through 3L.
Second.
Then moved and seconded. This is a non-debatable motion, so I'll call for the vote.
Commissioner Edwards?
Aye.
Commissioner Menzer?
Aye.
Commissioner Mejia?
Aye. Motion passes. Moving on to department items. First, from the Commissioner's Office, item 4A, Thurston County Local Policy. Robin Campbell, our Assistant County Manager, will report on this.
Thank you, Commissioner. Robin Campbell, Assistant County Manager. And the county is continuing a long-term project to update all of the county policies and created a consolidated policy manual. The logo policy is before you this afternoon. It replaces policy 15.1, the old logo policy that was revised in 2011. The policy is a style guide on the use of the county logo. It includes direction on size and color and allows uses on stationery, website, clothing, vehicle, media, and any other way someone might want to use the county logo. The policy has been reviewed by the policy committee, offices and departments, and it has had a legal review and is now before the board for your consideration. And I'd be happy to try to answer any questions about this policy.
Questions, Commissioner Edwards?
No questions, thank you.
Questions, Commissioner Menzer?
No, I'd just like to thank staff who worked with me on a couple of concerns I had, and I'm comfortable with where it's at. Thank you.
Okay, I don't have any questions. I'm ready for a motion.
I move to approve the resolution adopting the Thurston County logo policy.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? I'll call for the vote.
Commissioner Edwards?
Aye.
Commissioner Menzer? Commissioner Mejia?
Aye. Motion passes. Next is item 4B, Thurston County social media policy. Robin Campbell, our Assistant County Manager, will report on this.
Thank you, Commissioner. The second policy this afternoon is the county policy on social media. This is a new policy for the county. It does a few things. One is it gives direction on record retention so that we properly maintain these records in accordance with state law. And second, it reduces risk to offices and departments who use social media. And this is things like Facebook, Twitter, other such websites. And what this does is it allows for a disclaimer to be posted on county platforms that allows offices and departments to remove content that would be considered threatening, hateful, or promotes misinformation, especially in emergency situations. So this policy also has undergone a review by the policy committee, offices and departments, and legal review, and is ready for your consideration.
Thank you. Any questions? Commissioner Edwards?
No questions.
Commissioner Menzer?
No, ma'am.
Okay, I'm ready for a motion.
I move to approve the resolution adopting the Thurston County social media policy.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? I'll call for the vote.
Commissioner Edwards?
Aye.
Commissioner Menzer?
Aye.
Commissioner Mejia?
Aye. Motion passes. Next, Community Planning and Economic Development, item 5A, set a public hearing on Development Code Docket Item A8, Habitat Conservation Plan Implementation Ordinances. And Christina Chapeau, our Planning Manager, will report on this.
Thank you, Board. Good afternoon. I'm Christina Chapeau. I'm the Community Planning Manager with CPED. And I'm here today to request the Board set a public hearing for the Development Code Docket Item A8, the Habitat Conservation Plan Implementing Ordinances. Thurston County developed a habitat conservation plan to benefit its citizens by providing long-term economic and ecological benefits. And on July 1st of this year, U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service approved the plan and issued us an incidental take permit. The county's development codes do need to be amended to implement the federal requirements approved in the HCP. Specifically, the amendments include adopting the Thurston County Habitat Conservation Plan, providing the rules for applying and issuing a certificate of inclusion under the Thurston County Habitat Conservation Plan, and amending Title 24, the Critical Areas Ordinance, and Title 26, Code Enforcement, to add the appropriate references to the Thurston County HCP and new HCP code. During several work sessions, the Planning Commission reviewed the code changes for the HCP and held a public hearing to take comments. On April 6th of this year, the Planning Commission voted unanimously to recommend approval of the code amendments, and the next steps in the amendment process is for the Board to hold a public hearing. Before the public hearing, Community Planning will issue a legal notice in the Olympian and advertise the meeting through webmail and news releases. And the documents are currently available on the County HCP website, thurstonhcp.org. Hard copies will be made available upon request. One other item to note is the public comment period for this item is longer than the standard 20-day comment period due to the significance of the changes. And this comment period will be open for 45 days. Information about how to make comments and where to find the proposed changes will be on our website and part of our notices. The proposed amendments support Thurston County Strategic Initiatives number 6 and number 7. And I thank you for your considerations, and I'm available for any question.
Thank you. Questions, Commissioner Edwards?
No questions.
Questions, Commissioner Menzer? I don't have any questions as well. I'm ready for a motion.
I move to set a public hearing for October 4th, 2022 at 3:30 p.m. or soon thereafter as the matter may be heard on Development Code Docket Item A8, Habitat Conservation Plan Implementation Ordinances.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? I'll call for the vote.
Commissioner Edwards?
Aye.
Commissioner Menzer?
Aye.
Commissioner Mejia?
Aye. I'm sorry, did you raise your hand? Oh, I thought you did. Okay. Moving on to emergency services, item 6A, FEMA Public Assistance Grant Agreement D20-2005-FEMA, funding for January 2020 flood response. Kurt Harding.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Kurt Hardin again, Director of Emergency Services. I'm here requesting that the Board of County Commissioners approve the FEMA Public Assistance Agreement number D20-2005-FEMA with the Washington State Military Department for the FEMA flood response for the term January 20th, 2020 through April 23rd, 2024, and authorize the county manager to sign the agreement and any amendments that do not exceed 10% of the final dollar figure. The purpose of the agreement is to provide funds to the county for the emergency protective measures taken in response to the January 2020 flood, which was declared a presidential disaster, declaration FEMA 4539-DR-WA. Eligible costs incurred are subject to a federal reimbursement of 90%, and the non-federal share is 10%. And I'm saying that because when it was declared, typically the federal reimbursement is 75%. When it was declared, the federal reimbursement was declared as 90% reimbursement, and the state is going to pick up half of the non-federal share, which is 5%. Subject to your questions, I am requesting approval of this agreement.
Thank you. Questions, Commissioner Edwards?
No questions. I might mention we've went over this several times in earlier meetings. Thank you.
Questions, Commissioner Menzer?
Kurt, if I remember from previous briefings, there's a different threshold that would trigger reimbursement of individual expenses, and we didn't meet that threshold. So this is about like local government expenses?
Correct. This is about the local government expenses. This is about the emergency protective measures that were utilized and put in place, such as evacuations, such as sheltering, et cetera, for
and stuff.
Correct, but not for individuals.
Got it. Thank you.
Thank you. I don't have any questions. Is there a motion?
I move to approve FEMA Public Assistance Agreement number D20-2005 with the Washington State Military Department for FEMA flood response for the term of January 20th, 2020 through April 23rd, 2024, and authorize the county manager to sign the agreement and any amendments that do not exceed 10% of the final dollar figure. A final dollar figure will be made through amendments for projects submitted by Thurston County and authorized by the state.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? I'll call for the vote.
Commissioner Edwards?
Aye.
Commissioner Menzer?
Aye.
Commissioner Mejia?
Aye. Motion passes.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Thank you.
Thanks, Kurt.
Okay, moving on to public defense. Item 7A, interlocal agreement, Third Amendment for City of Tumwater Indigent Defense Legal Services. Is it?
See Jose.
Jose, okay. Go ahead.
Good
Jose.
afternoon. Yeah. Good afternoon, Commissioners. I'm Jose Vargas. I'm the Fiscal Manager for Thurston County Public Defense. I'm here today representing Patrick O'Connor, who happens to be taking a day off in his birthday. A very deserved day off today for him. We are here seeking approval of the Third Amendment to the Interlocal Service Agreement with the City of Tumwater. This agreement provides the City of Tumwater with indigent defense, misdemeanor services, legal services, and it will continue that agreement through fiscal years 2023, 2024. I will have to say that this is a very productive and very unique partnership between the department and the city, and we hope to continue that partnership with them. So if you have any questions, I'll be more than glad to answer them. Thank you.
Thank you. Questions, Commissioner Edwards?
No questions. Thank you.
Commissioner Menzer?
No.
Okay, I'm ready for a motion, sir.
I move to approve the Third Amendment with the City of Tumwater for indigent defense misdemeanor legal services for $479,356 from January 1, 2023 to December 31, 2024, and authorize the Director of Public Defense to execute the agreement and any amendments that do not exceed 10%.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote.
Commissioner Edwards?
Aye.
Commissioner Menzer?
Aye.
Commissioner Mejia?
Aye. Motion passes. Moving on to Public Health and Social Services, item 8A, 2022 Additional Consolidated Homeless Grant Housing Contracts.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Tom Webster with Thurston County Public Health and Social Services. So I'm here this afternoon to ask your approval for signed contracts with 4 nonprofit agencies with funding under the Consolidated Homeless Grant Program. So back in February of this year, we issued an RFP seeking applications for funding that included the Consolidated Homeless Grant funds that we received from the state. And in June of this year, you approved contracts for multiple agencies. In July, we've learned from the state that additional Consolidated Homeless Grant or CHG funding was available. Rather than issue a new request for proposals, we reviewed the proposals that were not fully funded or not funded from our February RFP and made recommendations to the Regional Housing Council technical team, to the full Regional Housing Council. And the Regional Housing Council is forwarding to you recommendations to fund 4 projects. These include the Family Support Center of South Sound, CHG Targeted Prevention Program for $58,000, Catholic Community Services Drexel House Shelter for an additional $40,000, Ponza Quixote Village for an additional $35,000, and Olympia Mutual Aid Partners and Angels for Angels for their Scattered Site Program for $207,588. These contracts will run through June 30th of 2023. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Questions, Commissioner Edwards?
No questions, thank you.
Questions, Commissioner Menzer?
No, ma'am.
I don't have questions either. I'm ready for a motion.
I move to approve housing contracts between the county and 4 nonprofit organizations: Family Support Center of the South Sound, Catholic Community Services Northwest, Ponza DBA Quixote Communities, and Olympia Mutual Aid Partners / Angels for Angels to fund projects for a combined total estimated amount of $340,588 for the 2022 program year, and authorize the county manager to sign the contracts and any amendments that do not change the approved dollar amount or duration by more than 10%.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote.
Commissioner Edwards?
Aye.
Commissioner Menzer?
Aye.
Commissioner Mejia?
Aye. Motion passes. Moving on to Public Works, item 9A, Interlocal Agreement for Sewer Collection and Treatment Service with the Department of Corrections.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Joe Plahuta, Senior Water Resource Engineer, Thurston County Public Works. Public Works requests that the Board of County Commissioners approve an interlocal agreement between Thurston County and Department of Corrections for sewer service to Maple Lane School. Thurston County provides sewer service to Maple Lane School. In 1999, Thurston County entered into an interlocal agreement with the Washington State Department of Social and Health Services to provide service to Maple Lane School. At the time, Maple Lane School was owned by DSHS. This interlocal agreement had a term of 20 years and expired on March of 2019. Since execution of the original agreement, ownership of the Maple Lane School has transferred to the Department of Corrections. The county would like to execute a new interlocal agreement with the Department of Corrections. The purpose of executing a new interlocal agreement is, first, to replace the expired interlocal agreement between Thurston County and DSHS. Second, update the parties to reflect current ownership of Maple Lane School by the Department of Corrections. And third, to bring the billing procedures identified in the ILA into alignment with the county's standard utility billing policies for commercial customers. Public Works requests that the Board of County Commissioners approve the ILA between Thurston County and DOC. Following partial execution by the board, the ILA will be transmitted to DOC for execution. This request is in alignment with Strategic Plan Initiative 14, Strengthen Sound Financial Management Practices. With that, I'm available for any questions.
Questions, Commissioner Edwards?
No questions, thank you.
Questions, Commissioner Menzer?
No, ma'am.
Okay, I'm ready for a motion, sir.
I move to execute an interlocal agreement between Thurston County and the Washington State Department of Corrections for continued sewer collection and treatment service to Maple Lane School. updates to the agreement to include replacement of the expired agreement, updating the current ownership of Maple Lane School, and bring billing procedures identified in the agreement into alignment with the county's standard utility billing policies for commercial customers.
Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? I'll call for the vote.
Commissioner Edwards?
Aye.
Commissioner Menzer?
Aye.
Commissioner Mejia?
Aye. Motion passes. Moving on to item 9B, adopt resolution of findings and determinations for proposed Paterson Lake Management District number 23.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Tim Wilson, Water Resources Manager with Public Works. Staff is here today requesting the board consider a resolution of findings and determinations establishing that the proposed Paterson Lake Management District number 23 is in the public interest, and further move to authorize a vote of landowners within the boundaries of the proposed PLMD. On June 21st, 2022, the Board of County Commissioners approved resolution number 16168, declaring its intention to form Paterson Lake Management District number 23. This action set a public hearing for July 26th to consider comments from affected property owners on the proposed new district and its work plan. Notice of this public hearing was properly published in the Olympian on June 23rd and June 30th. Notice of the public hearing was also sent to property owners within the proposed Lake Management District boundaries, listing their parcel numbers and charges, and a copy of the resolution of intention to establish PLMD number 23. Additional notice was provided to the Washington State Departments of Natural Resources, Ecology, and Fish and Wildlife. The public hearing was held on July 26. Following the public hearing, the board may either approve the PLMD as proposed, finding that it meets the required criteria for board approval, and adopt a resolution that submits the question of creating the new district to affected property owners by ballot. They may approve the PLMD but modify the activities or boundaries of the proposed Lake Management District per the provisions of RCW 3661, modifying the district boundaries, changes to the work plan, or any increase in the proposed assessments would require passing an amended resolution of intention, a new notice to property owners, and may require an additional public hearing. The third option would be for the board to reject the PLMD proposal and specify the rationale for determining that the proposal does not meet the required criteria. And number 4, they may return the proposal to the property owner committee for response to specific questions or issues. Required criteria for board approval of the PLMD proposal include the following. 1, the proposal must be in the public interest as evidenced by property owner interest and the proposal's conformance to RCW 3661 and county policies and regulations. 2, the financing and budget of the proposed PLMD must be feasible and solely sufficient to fulfill the district's purpose and accomplish its proposed work plan without the need for county financial support. And 3, additionally, the PLMD proposal must avoid adverse impacts and enhance habitat for fish and wildlife. Approval of the proposed resolution would adopt findings and determinations from the public hearing that formation of a new PLMD meets the required criteria and would submit the question of its establishment to a vote of all affected property owners within the proposed district. If formed, an LMD creates a county-managed program directed by Public Works and supported by a county-managed advisory committee who provides input and information to Public Works on short and long-term management strategies. The county maintains staff who serve as technical experts regarding lake management activities. Thurston County LMDs are subject to all county-adopted policies and procedures and are required to align work plans to complement and support all board-adopted programs. Further, any LMD formed by the county will operate under the Thurston County Lake Management District administrative rules, which outline the relationship, roles, and responsibilities of the county and communities partnering under an LMD structure and help ensure work plans and lake management efforts remain in the public interest. If formed, management of the Paterson LMD would require an additional half of a full-time equivalent county employee and additional administrative and financial support depending upon components of the work plan. The purpose of the proposed LMD, as stated in the petition received by Thurston County, is to protect the water quality, fish and wildlife, recreation, and aesthetic values of Paterson Lake through the implementation of appropriate lake management programs. The PLMD is proposed for 10 years, beginning on January 1st, 2023, and sunsetting on December 31st, 2032. For the petition, annual rates and charges will be used to raise funds to support PLMD activities. The estimated amount raised in rates and charges in the proposed district's initial year of collection would be $134,912. If a vote is authorized by the board, Public Works staff will develop ballots and conduct the election in accordance with RCW 3661. And with that, I would answer any questions the board may have.
Questions, Commissioner Edwards?
No questions at this time. We've had a lot of discussion on this issue. Thank you.
Questions, Commissioner Menzer?
Ma'am.
Okay, I'm ready for a motion.
I move to approve the resolution of findings and determinations that establishment of Paterson Lake Management District number 23 is in the public interest, and further move to authorize a vote of landowners within the boundaries of the proposed PLMD.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion?
Oh, ma'am.
Okay, I'll call for the vote.
Commissioner Edwards?
Aye.
Commissioner Menzer?
Aye.
Commissioner Mejia?
Aye. Motion passes. Moving on to the sheriff's item 10A, contract for a full-time school resource officer in the Nisqually Middle School and the 7 elementary schools in the North Thurston School District during the 2022 through 2023, 2023 through 2024, and 2024 through 2025 school years.
Yeah, good afternoon, Commissioners. So this request before you is to approve a contract with the North Thurston School District, specifically for a full-time school resource deputy within Nisqually Middle School and the surrounding 7 elementary schools that are located in the county. We've had this contract for the last 4 years with the North Thurston School District. The first 3 years under a 3-year contract, and then the city of Lacey annexed this area a little over a year ago, and we were able to remain on with the North Thurston School District on a 1-year extension. And then we were able to work with the North Thurston School District and the Lacey Police Department to continue this contract on for another 3 years. So our school resource deputy will work directly in collaboration with the Lacey police officer at River Ridge High School. So we're looking forward to this contract. We really enjoy our work that we have in the schools with our deputies and providing safety for the students in these schools. And this also is a great opportunity. This allows the sheriff's office, or prevents the sheriff's office from eliminating a deputy sheriff position. So this will carry on for another 3 years. So we look forward to it, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Questions, Commissioner Edwards?
No questions, thank you.
Questions, Commissioner Menzer? I'm ready for a motion.
Move to approve and sign the contract with North Thurston School District for $95,000 for the Thurston County Sheriff's Office to provide a full-time school resource officer in North Thurston School District, Nisqually Middle School, and the 7 elementary schools in the district during the years 2022 to 23, 2023 to 24, and 2024 to 25 school years.
Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved
Geez,
and
I'm
seconded.
slow on the seconds lately, huh?
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion?
No discussions.
I'll call for the vote.
Commissioner Edwards?
Aye.
Commissioner Menzer?
Aye.
Commissioner Mejia?
Aye. Motion passes. Thank you. With that, we'll move on to item 11. But just for the public who's watching, I just wanted to inform that next week, our meeting will no longer be at, well, next week will be the first time we're having a meeting at 6 p.m. So for members of the public who would like to attend, our meeting next week will start at 6 p.m. And then after that, it will go back to 2 p.m. So we're going to try it once a month to kind of see what the public engagement is and see if more folks are able to attend. So for those interested, 6 p.m. next Tuesday. With that, I'll move on to our first item, which is item 11A. Commissioners will report on board work session and assigned committee meetings, providing updates on actions taken as well as upcoming issues. Commissioner Edwards, sir, we'll start with you.
Last week, I attended a meeting of local veterans from Lewis, Mason, Thurston, and Pierce counties out at the Elm Community Center to provide services for those folks. It was a well put together event for our local veterans and well attended. Most of my week was spent on land use issues, the flood issue down in the Nisqually. You might remember that we've had prior flood issues down there. And dealing with concerned citizens about the new sex offender location out near Tenino, in which Department of Corrections or possibly DSHS is planning on moving a number of sex offenders down into the Tenino area in the rural part of Thurston County. More to come, but there's a lot of concerned citizens down there. And that consists of most of my week, ma'am. Thank you.
Time's up, I guess.
Did I drone on quite a while?
It was.
And it did start, so.
Yeah.
Okay, Commissioner Menser.
All right, thank you. In addition to assigned committees, I attended the jail resource team meeting. I attended the WASAC assembly regarding the opioid settlement. I attended the racial equity lunch and learn program. I attended the Rochester Grand Mound Chamber meeting, which was held at the Gate School, and had a presentation on the history of that building from some of the board members of that organization. Had a chance to check in on the LFO, which stands for Legal Financial Obligation Reimbursement Day, kind of a new pilot program that the prosecutor's office, the public defense, and the courts kind of put together. And I understand that over $500,000 of legal financial obligations were forgiven by the court on a particularized showing, and I watched how some of those hearings unfolded, and that was very interesting. Capitol Lake MOU has taken some of my time as I serve on the executive committee, and we're kind of pushing toward final draft of an MOU that a lot of concerns are kind of being tossed around. And then a lot of work ongoing with regard to DNR issues and Capital Safe Forest.
Thank you. I attended the jail resource team meeting. I also attended the Family Support Center groundbreaking. Their new location, which is the Landing. I attended 3 canvassing board meetings, and this afternoon we certified the primary elections. I attended the Washington Center of Performing Arts tour. They invited me, as I mentioned this morning, to a tour of the construction that they're doing. We did the kickoff for the redistricting meeting last Friday, and we're going to be meeting every 2 weeks. So the next meeting is going to be on August 26th at 3 p.m. if anyone's interested in following as we're moving along with redistricting. I also attended the WASAC meeting as well as the Intercity Transit Community Advisory Community. And that's all I have to report on. With that, moving on to item 11B, the county manager will review the Board of County Commissioners schedule for the week of August 16th, 2022.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I will be walking you through your combined schedule where at least 2 commissioners will be present. You may have individual appointments on your individual calendars. Those will not be part of my report. Nothing for the remaining of the day today, Tuesday, August 16th. Tomorrow, Wednesday, August 17th, at 9 in the morning, you have a briefing, a follow-up conversation on the operations of the Black Lake Special Use District. At 10 in the morning, you will have a briefing from Public Works staff related to the petition for the formation of the Offord Lake Management District. Wednesday, August 17 at 2 in the afternoon, you have a briefing related to speed limit revisions on some county roadways. Moving on to Thursday, August 18th, Commissioner Edwards, Commissioner Menser will be attending at 1 in the afternoon the Thurston Municipal Behavioral Health Administrative Services Organization meeting. Friday, August 19th at 8 in the morning, you have been invited to participate on the South Thurston Economic Development Initiative meeting. And at this point, I believe is a virtual meeting.
It's also in person.
Is in person?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay, so is in person in that
Rainier Senior Center.
What?
The Rainier Senior Center.
And Rainier Senior Center. Thank you. Moving on to next week, Monday, August 22nd. In your calendar is for you to attend the Kiwanis meeting, and that is going to be located at Tugboat Annie's, 2100 West Bay Drive, Northwest in Olympia. And at noon, also, you have a conflict in there where you have your standing Washington State Association of Counties virtual assembly. Tuesday, August 23rd, 9 in the morning, you have your regular agenda setting. As Commissioner Mejia stated, the Board of County Commissioners will be held at 6 in the afternoon, Tuesday, August 23rd. And that's all I have for you.
Is there some special reason the Kiwanis is on the calendar? Because I don't have that on my calendar, and we don't usually have that on our calendar.
We're both members, so I just got inducted to it, so
Okay, you both attending? Okay, that's the reason. Okay, thank you.
All right. Just making sure I'm not missing something.
Okay, with that, it is 3:08 p.m. You are adjourned. Thank you all very much.